Astro Bot started as a character designed to demonstrate the power of the PlayStation's flagship technology and new hardware within various inbuilt tech demos and minigames, starting with the PlayStation 4. Many years on from his initial debut though, Astro has gone from an unnamed side character to arguably one of the PlayStation's most widely recognisable mascots and the hero of his own self-titled adventures. But how did Astro go from an unnamed side character to a full-fledged protagonist? Is it simply the charm of the character, perhaps the draw of the tech he was designed to showcase, or is there more to the story? To find out, join me as we discuss the humble beginnings to the critically acclaimed adventures of Astro and how he rose from tech demo to become a hero. If tales from both history and fiction have taught us anything, it's that learning of the origins of a hero and the lessons learnt throughout their journey are integral to understanding the true meaning of their message and impact of their rise. Astro 2 is no different, with his story beginning with the humble team at the Japanese game dev studio Team Asobi. Founded in 2012 within Japan's studio and spun off 9 years later as their own entity in 2021, Team Asobi operates as part of Sony Interactive Entertainment's PlayStation Studios umbrella, and as their logo suggests, are the masterminds behind our titular hero, Astro. However, whilst Astro has come to be known as a PlayStation mascot now with self-titled platformers, he was first introduced as an unnamed AR bot in 2013's The Playroom. Developed by Team Asobi upon their founding, The Playroom was a pre-installed augmented reality game for the PlayStation 4, designed as a tech demo to showcase the capabilities of the new PlayStation console, camera, and the DualShock 4 controller. In The Playroom, players could partake in a variety of minigames to highlight the various advancements in tech that had been achieved in the PlayStation's generational update. Amongst these minigames were a variety of AR bot-centric entries, such as Ninja Bots and AR Bots, where players could interact with the small and robotic, yet emotive characters within the DualShock controller and the television screen. Whilst the Playroom itself saw mixed results and reception, it offered a simple and accessible way for players to interact with and understand the new technology that was available with the new PlayStation generation. As such, it saw another rendition be released in 2016 alongside the new PlayStation VR headset and was aptly named the Playroom VR. Designed to highlight the immersive possibilities of the PlayStation VR, the Playroom VR came packaged with each new VR headset and consisted of a variety of minigames. One entry from within the lineup, however, saw Team Asobi's AR bots return, and also saw Astro receive his first role as a protagonist through the individually well-received Robots Rescue minigame. Although simple in concept, Rescue Bots utilized the VR headset to create a unique perspective for the player, and saw them need to control both Astro as the in-game character and themselves as the camera in order to solve puzzles and rescue AR bots. This combination of technology, perspective, and charm was received well by players, and showcased the possibilities of not only VR within the PlayStation ecosystem, but also the progressive possibilities of VR within the platforming genre at the time. Beyond just this though, Robots Rescue also allowed players to physically interact with Astro Bot, with this at the time unique interactive gameplay creating a more personal connection between the playful and expressive character of Astro and the player. With the success of the synergistic gameplay mechanics, hardware, and character, the doors of possibility opened for Team Asobi and Astro, and thus led to Astro's next adventure and his first self-named entry in Astro Bot Rescue Mission. Building on the success of Robot Rescue, Astro Bot Rescue Mission was released as a standalone title in 2018 as a PlayStation VR exclusive platformer that builds on the foundations of the interaction between mechanics, hardware, and character laid within Robots Rescue. In Rescue Mission, alongside Astro, players embark on a platforming adventure to rescue Astro's crew of AR bots that have been scattered and lost across 5 unique 3-dimensional worlds. Taking heavily from the success of Robots Rescue, here players control Astro using the DualShock controller to run, jump, hover, and punch, whilst the player themselves play their own part as a giant robot companion to both assist Astro and act as the camera in this VR adventure. The game as a whole was lauded for its innovative use of VR at the time, tight controls, charming design, and the way it integrated the player into the world, making them feel like an active participant in Astro's journey, again creating a synergy of mechanics, hardware, and character. As such, Rescue Missions successfully showcase not only the power of the PlayStation VR and its application possibilities in future titles, but also highlighted the characteristics and charm of Astro, and allowed players to further their bond with and fondness for the character. A testament to this is Rescue Mission's reception from both players and critics alike, with universal acclaim to be found across the likes of Metacritic, OpenCritic, and Reddit to name a few. With this acclaim found through quality, innovation, and character bonding, Rescue Mission's success did pose a question however. What was next for Astro? Well, in 2020, alongside the release of the next generation of PlayStation via the PlayStation 5, this question was answered, with Astro returning within a sequel to Rescue Mission and a platformer that would come to redefine the character, the self-titled Astro's Playroom. But before we learn more about our tiny but mighty hero, in making it to this part of his history and the video, be sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. It would be greatly appreciated. Astro's Playroom, like the original Playroom, was designed as an inbuilt tech demo for the PlayStation 5 console and the DualSense controller. But unlike its predecessors, apart from showcasing the generational technology updates, this is where the similarities end. Because unlike the Playroom from 2013, Astro's Playroom was both a formally named sequel to Rescue Mission and also offered much more than simple minigames to highlight the technology on offer. This was because, unlike the original namesake, Astro's Playroom is a three-dimensional platformer with a central hub world housing the entrances to 4 unique thematic worlds of Memory Meadow, SSD Speedway, Cooling Springs, and GPU Jungle, which all build towards a nostalgic final showdown. All of these worlds are also neatly tied together with nostalgic collectibles, Easter eggs, and are supported by a wonderful use of the DualSense's enhanced haptic and dynamic functions that shine through Astro's platforming, combat, and quote-unquote vehicle sections. Thematically though, through its world building, Astro's Playroom goes the extra mile by establishing its setting early, for the game doesn't just take place by using and virtually interacting with the hardware this time around, but is built on the idea that it takes place within the console itself. After a short introduction to the DualSense and establishing this internal setting, in homage to the original Playroom, players fling Astro into the world with the touchpad and the game proper begins. Within the PlayStation 5, a fun and joyful atmosphere is established, as players are met with CPU Plaza, housing the friendly CPU itself, as well as a variety of AR bots playing games, running amok, and being happily present in this world. Each bot, and of course the CPU itself, are always emoting and expressing joy, and accompanied by an upbeat and whimsical score composed by Kenneth C.M. Young, the characters and score really drive home a sense of excitement for the journey ahead and the experience of the console itself. This is taken a step further too, because although CPU Plaza acts as the hub world, like other full-fledged platformers, it too forms an interactive level with its own collectibles and secrets. Within CPU Plaza, players can find small wires which can be pulled with a satisfying tension supported by the DualSense's haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, unveiling various platforms that can be traversed, leading to both coins and puzzle piece collectibles, adding much more depth to the hub world experience. Even if players aren't to explore the hub world in this way of uncovering its platforming and collectible secrets though, they will already begin to experience what the DualSense has to offer, with its capabilities a centerpiece of the gaming experience in Astro's Playroom through textural and contextual experiences throughout the CPU Plaza, and the 4 thematic worlds that can be experienced. Stepping on metal floors, such as those in the CPU Plaza and SSD Speedway, offers short and sharp vibrations, and walking through sand on Bot Beach produces a shallow vibration, accompanied by a crunching sound bite, whereas skating on ice in the Cooling Springs generates a longer vibration that almost slides up the controller, perfectly matching Astro's movements and the environment. Even in jumping and hovering with Astro's lasers through both platforming and combat, a satisfying rumble can be felt through the DualSense, with even the different surfaces the lasers strike creating a different vibration and soundbite, with metal burning and ice shattering. Astro's punches too, which can be used to break capsules hiding collectibles, and defeating simple yet colourful enemies with quick swipes, produce a light thud. But charging Astro's punch to unlock hidden platforming challenges produces a more powerful blast that slowly fades as Astro's spin concludes. The interaction with the gameplay doesn't just stop at the haptic feedback though, as the DualSense controller also offers adaptive triggers that can adjust their resistance to simulate different sensations and tensions depending on the gameplay context. Early gameplay examples of this include the interactive wires that uncover collectibles and platforms throughout Astro's journey, but are also well highlighted through combat, such as in GPU Jungle, with Astro claiming a bow that when pulled and held adds tension to the triggers. Even later on in SSD Speedway, a minigun of sorts will offer pops of tension in the triggers when the gun is fired, creating a much more engaging and satisfying connection to the gameplay. The touchpad too, which isn't utilized extensively, is used through various traversal challenges, which highlights a greater sensitivity than from the past. And the inbuilt gyroscope and motion controls are utilized to create a greater interaction within vehicular and some combat sections. Even simply blowing into the controller acts as a way to interact with some platforming sections, with small windmill-like obstacles requiring a breath into the controller to spin and unlock. highlighting not just the controller's output capabilities, but also what can be achieved with input from the player. Individually, of course, these functions, especially at the time of launch, were game changers. And even today, whilst not fully utilized by many developers, they still continue to enhance the gameplay feel and create a greater connection between the player and the actions on screen, enhancing the immersion. But one of the key aspects of Astro's brilliance is that it doesn't just hold singular moments where a sole piece of hardware is highlighted, but instead houses many instances where combinations of these functions coexist to create incredible gameplay and hardware harmony. For example, one of the earliest moments is within Memory Meadow, where atop the hills a storm brews, with wind rumbling the DualSense and a sound of whirling emitting from the controller. And when Astro walks into the rain, the controller pitters and patters, with small individual vibrations accompanied by the sound of droplets that still feels special on repeat runs. In the ball suit, the touchpad is used for traversal, whilst the different terrains create additional sound bites accompanied by the haptic feedback to echo the environment, with rocky hills producing a long and bumpy rumble, whereas the ice-covered lanes found later create the need to quickly brush the touchpad and express sharper tones and vibrations from the controller as one desperately attempts to stay on the track. The monkey suit too has the player dynamically whirl the controller to spin on monkey bars, whilst also using each of the adaptive triggers to hold and then let go of the bars to allow for progression. Even in the rock climbing here, some handholds require a gentle half hold of the triggers to prevent the hold from breaking, with the gyroscope being used to tilt each individual arm upward to progress. These of course are just a few moments from within the tight yet grand tale that is Astro's Playroom, but show even in the most basic sense that the developers haven't just created a tech demo here, but have created a joyful experience, which combined with the world thematics and tone, elevate Astro's Playroom and Astro himself to greater heights. In mentioning this thematic sense, each of the 4 worlds, which are also broken into their own named 4-level sections, are designed thematically and technically around a core piece of hardware from within the PlayStation 5, and focus on the new memory, SSD, cooling, and GPU units. And whilst each level doesn't necessarily focus on that hardware concept when it comes to gameplay, what they represent in theme continues to be apparent throughout the gameplay experience. SSD Speedway, for example, is themed of course around the new solid-state drive built into the PlayStation 5. Designed to speed up loading times and lead to a more engaging player experience. The Speedway thematically highlights this very well from the beginning, with AR bots and vehicles speeding past Astro through virtual slipstreams as he navigates the various platforming challenges below and the aerial challenges above. Although some of this theme appears lost later on in the level, the hardware implications aren't, as Astro's Playroom levels and worlds load incredibly quickly. When entering a world portal, although hidden behind the spectacle of the traversal, loading each area takes mere moments, which is both shockingly impressive when experiencing SSD loading for the first time, and sets expectations high for future prospects and titles. Even jumping between different levels using the world map is snappy, allowing for an uninterrupted experience, which goes a long way towards maintaining engagement and makes returning to previously completed levels to pick up a missed collectible or two feel unobtrusive. Besides loading quickly though, the game also runs incredibly well, and of course looks wonderful thanks to the newly spec'd GPU, embodied by the bright and colourful GPU jungle, helping Astro's Playroom not only play well and load incredibly quickly, but to look beautiful as well. And whilst these worlds can be entered in any order the player desires, there is a historical order in which to complete them, because in going the extra mile, the developers have made each level not just a hardware showcase, but also a historical one. Memory Meadow, arguably the first level in historical order, is designed as a dreamy, bright, and cloud-filled meadow, which is designed to both represent the PlayStation 5's enhanced memory and memories of the PlayStation's hardware origins, making for a technical, gameplay, and nostalgic showcase. In a technical and gameplay sense, players are led through each world by gold coins, which when collected provide a bright and snappy soundbite, acting as both a visual guide but also rewarding players for interacting with and exploring the world. I say this because although more obvious coins lead players along the progressive path, there are many that are hidden, with some coins hidden under ledges, around corners, or in capsules that Astro can break with his fists or lasers, rewarding players for their curiosity. Enemies too, which can be punched, tugged, or shot, also both show the way forward with their placement and provide more coins upon defeat, rewarding the player further for their engagement with the combat and also provide another visual cue for progression. In seeking out these coins though, players will also come to find puzzle pieces, which form one of the two hidden collectible types from within each world. In a nostalgic sense though, the second type of hidden collectible players will find through exploration take the form of artifacts, which represent key pieces of hardware from the PlayStation's history and are typically well hidden when compared to the puzzle pieces, but again reward players for their exploration. This in part is why, as mentioned, Memory Meadow can be considered the first level in sequence, for it is arguably the simplest from a platforming perspective, but also Memory Meadow's artifacts are that of the original Sony PlayStation. Such artifacts in Memory Meadow, for example, include the PS1 controller and PlayStation mouse, which can be found in Gusty Gateway, and the original DualShock in Bumper Broadway, to name just a few. At the very end of each world though is where the theme comes to a head, with the key piece of console hardware from the level's generational showcase being uncovered, with Memory Meadow holding an original PlayStation, SSD Speedway offering a PlayStation 2, Cooling Springs a PS3, and GPU Jungle a PS4. Once a level is completed, Astro is then taken to the PlayStation Labo, where each puzzle piece collected fills a mosaic of PlayStation history, and each artifact fills the room and can be interacted with. Here too, coins that have been collected can be spent within the Labo's claw machine, which too unlocks additional collectibles and artifacts to view and experience. The thing here though is that uncovering these artifacts isn't just a tick and flick exercise, because although seeking them out and collecting them does go towards the player's completion and allows them to relive memories of times past, they are in essence a celebration. Like Astro's Playroom that is designed to showcase the PlayStation 5's hardware, through its joyful soundtrack, expressive characters, beautiful worlds, and fun gameplay, it too celebrates the console and celebrates the player. But not only that, it celebrates the history of the PlayStation and the years of fun and excitement that have been had since its inception. Even more literally, each artifact is accompanied by confetti and a pop of fireworks, showcasing each artifact and the player's achievement of uncovering them simultaneously, which goes a long way to highlight the care for the PlayStation's history and the player's engagement that form key pillars of Astro's Playroom's success. But the celebration and showcase doesn't just stop here, for again in homage to the pieces of the hardware's past, various iconic titles and characters of past generations from the PlayStation's vast library of games are also to be found throughout each level, which are also emotive in their own way to ensure their projection stays true to the source material. In SSD Speedway's Turbo Trail, for example, an AR bot holding bolts with yellow pointy ears and a smaller bot as a backpack pays homage to the original Ratchet & Clank from 2002, where on the same platform in which Ratchet is found, a squad of Helgen Empire soldiers can be found, referencing Killzone. And GPU Jungle hides the Maiden in Black and the Slayer of Demons from Demon Souls, to name a very small few of the over 50 characters and references to be found. Nearly every scene and area of each level and world has some kind of reference to the past, be it the artifacts or the characters within, and even in scenes absent of reference, there is something visually interesting and beautiful to observe, which accompanied by the joyous soundtrack for each world, continues to reinforce the celebration and showcase, and even deep nostalgia that Astro's Playroom has to offer. And in placing these words together here, joyous, celebration, showcase, and nostalgia, we can see how Astro has come to be through both his non-titled and full-fledged offerings, especially that of Astro's Playroom, more than just a side character in a tech demo, but a hero in his own adventures. From his humble beginnings as seen through the original Playroom and Playroom VR offerings, Astro has been designed to both emit and evoke joy. He does so through his hips and hoorays, his twirls, his smile, and his waves, and offers a character that is inviting, comforting, and fun to play as. The worlds in which he traverses and can be experienced in a gameplay sense too are much the same, designed to emit and evoke joy through their vibrant colours and rhythmic soundtracks. In a way too, he has been designed to celebrate not just player achievement through gameplay, but also as a characterization of the hardware progressions Sony has made across the years, with each new entry to his lineup, both titled and untitled, being a celebration of that generational leap. To that effect, he and his game offerings are a showcase, ones designed to highlight the advancements made through those generational leaps, from the first touchpad of the DualShock 4 to the haptic feedback of the DualSense and loading speeds of the PS5, to name just a handful of hardware advancements in which he interacts with. In a nostalgic sense too, Astro through his gameplay interactions pay homage to PlayStation hardware and titles from throughout the years, undoubtedly touching on or visiting a piece of each Sony console gamer's past, and tapping into fond memories of games past and present. In being and doing all of these things, and doing so with a high level of quality and care-filled game design, Astro has always been and has always had the qualities that make not just a character, but a mascot and a hero. He is a joy to control and play alongside, he is a celebration of player achievements, he is a vessel in which to showcase enjoyable gameplay and hardware innovations, and provides a mode of delivering and highlighting nostalgia through his gameplay and interactive Easter eggs, like Ratchet, like Kratos, like Crash, and like many others, Astro brings, as do all heroes of history and fiction, in one way or another, through their struggles, humble beginnings and achievements, bring joy. Echoing the humble beginnings of their creators Team Asobi, who too rose from creating tech demos to full-fledged platformers. And in doing so in their own special way, and in Astro's own way, become deserving of their own self-titled tales that can be remembered throughout history, like the hardware and titles that we all hold in fond memory. In making it to the end of the video, I want to say a big thank you to you. I really appreciate your time in making it to the end, and in doing so, I'd love to read your thoughts about the video in the comments, and also read your thoughts about Astro and his journey from tech demo to hero, or what you'd like to see from me next. By making it here too, if you haven't already, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and leaving a like. However, if my video hasn't earned your subscription, be sure to check out another video in my playlists. I'm sure there'll be something you'll enjoy. Thank you again, and as always, have a great day, gamers.